All right. So last week you were given a template, and on that template was a bunch of open spaces, and then you had some choices. So right now you're working on getting your drawing in. Probably haven't gotten very far. Since we've got a quick turnaround, we don't have school on Friday. We're having art again on Monday. So we want to finish up our designs and we want to get them colored. This video is going to show you how to cut this out and how to start putting it together so that way you can finish it on your own. So a couple things. Once we got this, we're going to start cutting, and you're really just cutting around the outer edges. We've got our tabs, so you got to be careful on there. We're going to cut out our tabs. There's a little bit of a thin line around here. We're going to cut all that out. So when you're all done, you should have something like this. Now I wanted to show you this part so that you don't forget. We want to be able to fold it a little bit better. So there's some spaces right in here, right here, and the same on the other side. Right along there and right along there. We want to make sure that those lines are cut. All right, so it's going to stop right there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. All right, going to stop right there. And then I'm just going to flip it over so it's a little easier. Right where our three tabs are, we have a very similar in length line. We're going to cut those. All right, so that will help this kind of mold around where the heart is at. All right. Now, if you've got the cardstock piece, you're going to want to score on the lines. If you have just a regular printer paper piece, you are not going to want to score on those lines. It'll probably end up ripping. It should fold a lot easier. But so that we get a nice straight line, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to open up my scissors safely, and I'm just going to use the edge. So I'm going to score along the lines that I want folded. All right, so I have a couple of those lines. So I'm going to go the length from all the way to the top to the bottom here because I have some tabs in here and I want it to be able to fold on this line. Now you can only do this once. If you start scoring a bunch of different times, you're going to have lines everywhere. So I've got my ruler lined up to keep the line straight. I'm going to put my scissor edge, and I am barely dragging this across just to make a little bit of groove. If you push too hard on this, it's going to end up ripping your paper. You should be able to feel a little light groove on there. So while I'm still on this side, I'm going to go down to the bottom, right down in here. There's a little tab. I'm going to line up my ruler. All right. So I should have a groove along here and along at the bottom. All right. I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm just going to rotate it so that I can see it a little bit better. It's pretty much going to be identical. I'm going to use this line right here, and I'm going to line up my ruler, lightly pushing against the paper just to give myself a little bit of a line here. And then I'm going to do the same on the tab. You got to make sure you hold it down firmly. All right. So I have scored along the edges of those lines, and now what I want to do is start to make some folds on there. Now, if I push too hard, these are going to start to rip and fall apart, and then I've got a little bit more work to do ahead of myself here. So I'm going to take, and I'm just going to start folding. So I know I want to go in this direction. I went to the back. I've kind of folded it up here. I'm going to do the same on the other side. If I can get it picked up. Should fold nice and easy along the scored lines. All right. If they haven't, maybe we didn't push hard enough. Okay. So I have these two pieces folded upward because they are going to end up wrapping around the bottom of the heart here. So now I'm just going to go look at all my tabs, and I'm going to fold along those edges, and I'm folding those. You can see how you can see the heart, and I've got the non-marked side here. I'm just going to fold all those tabs upward. All right. And then I've got a small one on the top here. So I've got all of those folded. Nice crease from scoring them. I've got my tabs in there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So there's a long tab right here. All right. Right along that edge, I folded that. I have a tab down here at the bottom. I'm going to fold that. And then I have these 3. And since they're all on the same line, it was just easy for me just to fold this up and crease this in like so. All right. Now, I recommend using glue to attach this. It takes a little bit of time, but it holds a whole lot better. You could use stick glue. You could use tape. All right. I'm going to show you with glue, but I'm going to use probably tape to finish it up so that we can see what it looks like here. All right. So I've got my tabs. And this first tab, I'm going to put a little glue on it, and I'm going to bring it around. So each one of these tabs has a spot. This first one's going to go here. This second one's going to go here. And that third one is going to go up in there. So I can put glue on all of them if I want at one time, or I can do one at a time. It's kind of up to you, but you do not need a whole lot of glue. So I'm going to try to spread that out a little bit. All right, I'm going to put them all 3 at the same time. And then I'm going to bend them around. And so that first one will drop right there. And that second one will go there. And the third one will go right in there. So I want to look on the edge and make sure that I am on and not too far off, or otherwise I'll be gluing this to the table. Now I've just put that glue on, and whoops, and you can see how sticky it was. It's holding pretty good. I'm going to want to make sure I keep it down for a minute or so. I can pick it up and hold it if I want, so that I've got my hand behind it, but you can see the shape that it's making. I like, because this part is open a little bit, that if I got some glue that oozed in there, it would seal it, where tape is not going to do that. It's not going to go all the way to the edge. It's just going to end up going along inside of here. Now again, you don't want very much so that it oozes out all over the place, but I'm just kind of rubbing and working those so that they kind of spread out a little bit, and then we can go from there. So I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then I'm going to tie up into the corners. All right. So I guess this glue is holding fast enough. I am going to continue with the glue. Again, you don't need very much. Put a little bit, spread it out a little bit. I'm kind of using whatever's on the end of the glue bottle here. And then I'm going to wrap these around. With them being like this, I can see if I'm matching up. And I just want to make sure they stay within the heart shape. And I'm going to hold them down. Like I said, you can pick them up. And I like it when I can get all my grip inside of here and kind of hold it down, keeping it along the edge. And then I'm just going to kind of smooth it out while it is still wet. If I need to move anything, I can still do that. I have a tab on the inside here that's going to get a little bit of glue, and that's going to actually bend the other way, and it's going to hold that piece together. So I'm going to glue that while I'm waiting here. It doesn't take too long to glue this down, especially if you don't use very much, just enough to give it a good grip. All right. So I'm going to have to hold that piece because it wants to bend against itself. It wants to start to fold out this way. And while I'm holding that, I'm kind of trying to smooth the glue out. I want to look on both sides. See, you got to really hold that down so that it stays. Again, you could tape that if you want. I just don't think tape seals it all in around the edges very well. Stick glue will probably work. You might have to go a little bit thicker with the stick glue. But you can see if I can smooth this out, it's going to hold that shape pretty well. All right. And so I have 2 more tabs here. I can kind of do those at the same time as well. They're going to get tucked under. And then I have another tab that's going to go on the inside and hold those all tight. All right. Could I put glue on the edges here and then put my tabs on there? Absolutely. You can do that. Again, you don't want to use very much, so I just got a light bead. I'm just going to use the end to kind of smear it out a little bit. And then I can bring these 2 over so that they overlap. And again, I want to check my edges to make sure I'm sitting on the very edge of my design here so that there's no little lip hanging off. And I'm just going to kind of hold those together, smooth them out. Definitely pick it up and move it around because you don't want it stuck to your surface. All right. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to glue this inside tab right inside of here. And that will be it. Not taking too long at all with the regular glue. All right. Hold that down into place. And then just make sure I'm smoothing my edges and checking to make sure everything is lined up. I can always move it a little bit, but man, once it dries, it is going to be rough trying to get anything to keep its shape. All right. Now, this is your top with all your designs. Obviously, this one doesn't have designs in it. It would end up looking more like this one when you're all done. All right. And I think the stick glue will hold it a whole lot better. For the bottom, you're just getting a blank piece, so it has no lines on it at all. Everything's going to get cut out the same. Make sure you cut inside of those little grooves on each side. You'll fold it up, so you'll have a nice blank one like so. All right. If you wanted to beforehand, before you started to do any folding, I would recommend putting your name and date on here. You could color this as well if you want to give it a nice color on here. You could leave it white. That's up to you. All right. So you'll have your two pieces, your top and your bottom, and they should fit together nicely to make a nice Valentine's box. All right. And this would be nice with your name on the bottom here like this. And then you can put some nice things in here, a little note, put some candies. Again, if you're working with just the paper from the printer, then it's going to be a little bit more flexible, so I wouldn't put anything too heavy in there. But if you got the cardstock, it'll be a little sturdier. All right. That's what we're finishing up this week with our Valentine's box. So now that you know this, you can review the videos anytime you want and put them together. If you want to do it on your own, especially you guys in class, you can take it home and work on it. You guys at home, do the best you can with what you got. That's what pretty much the theme of this year is. So next week we're starting something new, and that will take us a few weeks to work on that project. So email me if you got any questions, and I'll see you next week.